Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, August 11th. We will have significant impacts to fire potential over the next few days. Today we will see a greater expansion of thunderstorms over the northern half of Nevada into southwest Idaho and northwest Utah and over parts of northeast Utah. These thunderstorms will certainly be higher in coverage than what we've seen in recent days and will be a mix of wet and dry, but will be moving rather quickly, therefore limiting the amount of overall rainfall and increasing the fire potential. We will also see breezy winds and dry conditions today over central Idaho into Wyoming, where we saw lightning yesterday, and also over the southern areas of the Great Basin, which are very critical with respect to fuels. These wind gusts will be gusting between about 30 and 35 miles per hour, with some areas up to 40 miles per hour. As we move into Wednesday, windy and dry conditions will replace the thunderstorms over western and northern Nevada. So again, this will impact fire potential and increase it, especially following the lightning. With the windy and dry conditions, we are expecting new fire starts and spread in those areas. Windy and dry conditions continue in the south on Wednesday, and then lightning is pushed further north and east up across Idaho and Wyoming, and also still into parts of northern Nevada and northeast Nevada and far northern Utah. On Thursday, most of our lightning threat in the north will be pushed to the east and replaced by wind across Idaho and Wyoming, and then we will see a return of some weak moisture into southern areas with the potential for thunderstorms developing over parts of the higher terrain of southern Utah. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen isolated to widely scattered thunderstorms across Nevada up into northwest Utah, and also into the Sierra and parts of Idaho and into the far eastern side of our geographic area in Wyoming. These thunderstorms were a mix of wet and dry, but most produced very little rainfall. Some of the heavier spots were across the Sierra. Great Basin fire activity was light yesterday. You can see where the new fires in the red circles were reported up across Idaho, northeast Nevada, and over into Utah. Over the last 7 days, we've seen very dry conditions across the Great Basin and only very spotty precipitation associated with thunderstorm activity. So our fuel conditions are still very critical and above the 97th or 90th percentile across all of the southern half to 2/3 of the Great Basin. Up across Idaho and northwest Nevada, ERCs are above the 80th percentile. Looking at some of our satellite images from this morning, you can see still that band of moisture over northern Nevada into northwest Utah, and this is where we will see our greatest lightning coverage today. Otherwise, breezy conditions in the north and breezy conditions in the south. Again, looking at the weather pattern for later today, you can see where that moisture is located up across northern Nevada up into northwest Utah. So we do have a large area of high risk for lightning today. We will also see lightning over the higher terrain of the Sierra, but this has a better chance of being on the wetter side. These thunderstorms will be a mix of wet and dry, but again, moving rather quickly. And then breezy conditions up in Idaho, Wyoming, and southern areas with low relative humidity. You can see the relative humidity is generally remaining in the high single digits over southern areas and up in the teens further north. And looking at the wind image, you can see those gusty winds around 30 or 35 miles per hour in the south with those dry conditions. And then you can start to see some of the wind start to increase up across Idaho and even into northwest Nevada. We will see some breezy winds as the lightning gets pushed further east later today. On Wednesday, dry conditions push into Nevada, and again, will be dry and breezy conditions south of this area of low pressure to the north, with lightning activity being pushed further east and north. So we do have those high risk for lightning up across Idaho and Wyoming, and then a large area for wind both over southern areas of the Great Basin and over western and northern Nevada. And again, especially over western and northern Nevada, followed by the lightning, these winds will certainly be critical. Relative humidity drops back into the single digits across much of Nevada and Utah on Wednesday and is a little bit higher up north in Idaho where those thunderstorms will move. As you can see with the wind picture on the right, you can see the winds increasing over western and northern Nevada with gusts between about 30 and 40 miles per hour in those dry conditions. Also, even up across central and eastern Idaho, we will see some breezy winds along with the lightning up in those areas. And then the breezy winds around 30 miles per hour will continue in the south. On Thursday, that trough of low pressure swings to the east, pushing that dry air further east. However, you can see some remnant subtropical moisture moving up into southern areas of the Great Basin on Thursday. We will be watching this right now. Instability looks fairly minor and we'll see more cloud cover. We do have an area of high risk for the higher terrain of southern Utah. However, we may have to expand this high risk depending on how the moisture moves up, but certainly be watching southern areas of the Great Basin for that return of lightning later this week. Otherwise, breezy winds will continue over Idaho with dry conditions. On Thursday, you can see the single-digit relative humidity over the southern half of the Great Basin, teens up north, and those breezy winds across Idaho and Wyoming, gusts between about 30 and 40 miles per hour. You can still see some breezy winds in the south, but again, that moisture will be moving up a little bit and bringing that possibility of lightning. No significant precipitation on the map. You can see over Nevada those mix of wet and dry storms dropping a little bit of precip, but again, nothing widespread expected. As we move into Friday, that moisture moving up from the south tracks a little bit further north, so we'll be watching the southern half of the Great Basin for a return of lightning. Right now, we're just highlighting southern Utah and the Arizona Strip, but we will be watching those areas in the south and also even back north up across parts of the Sierra Front if that moisture pushes north for thunderstorms. As we move into Saturday, that moisture may hang around and push a little bit further north. Right now, it's pretty far out and no high risk issued at the present time, but we will be watching those areas. And then on Sunday, that area of high pressure really starts to strengthen. So temperatures will be climbing, but also that moisture could be wrapping around that high, bringing the potential for some lightning over the weekend. And then on Monday, that moisture really settles in, so we'll be watching for greater coverage in thunderstorms as we move towards the weekend and into early next week. Again, right now, no high risk just due to how far out in the forecast that is, but we will be likely seeing some increased activity. The 7-day precipitation, really no different than the 3-day, but we will likely see some of those changes as the models get a little bit more consistent with some of that moisture later in the week. And then the 8 to 14-day outlook shows generally drier conditions and warmer conditions for the period from August 18th to the 24th, but we will be watching that to see if we do get any moisture pushing up north. That concludes the webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.